Imagine this: the conspirators, those who wanted to see you fall, had carefully marked a date in their calendars, a day they were certain would be your last. They had every move mapped out, every detail thought through, every trap set in place. But what if they got it all wrong? What if instead of lying defeated, you were still standing, breathing, and defying every expectation they had? This isn't just about survival. This is about resilience. The odds were stacked against you, and they believed they had control. They thought they had calculated every factor, every weakness, every possibility. But the one thing they overlooked was you. Your ability to endure, your will to fight, your cosmic protection that defied their deadly precision. As each day passes, you stand as proof of their failure. The date they circled in red, the day they expected your story to end, has come and gone. And there you are, still breathing, still present, still standing firm in your truth. The plans they meticulously orchestrated have failed. Their arrogance blinds them to the reality that you are not just a survivor, you are a living testimony to divine strength. It's time to uncover the twisted plot that nearly took your life, and how against all odds you have defied them. This is more than a story of survival. It's a battle between the forces of manipulation and the power of divine intervention. Stay with me, chosen one, as we reveal the truth behind their conspiracy and how your survival is the most powerful act of rebellion they never saw coming. They thought they had it all planned. The date was circled in red on their calendars, the day they believed you would be gone, erased from existence, and their problems would disappear. Every detail of their plan was calculated with precision from the first moment they decided to act to the time they thought they would finally see their efforts succeed. Their confidence came not from their legal strategy or their intellect, but from the cruel certainty that you would never make it to the court date. They measured everything, the toxins, the timing, the circumstances, knowing that everything had to align perfectly for them to achieve their goal. This wasn't just a conspiracy, it was a carefully orchestrated operation designed to ensure you would never survive long enough to see justice served. The first part of their plan was the most basic: eliminate you physically. They didn't need to take any risks, didn't need to get their hands dirty. No, that was all far too risky. Instead, they turned to more subtle methods, manipulating your environment quietly, working behind the scenes to set up the perfect storm that would lead to your destruction. Toxic substances were placed just out of sight. Accidents were set to happen at precise moments, and slowly your world began to feel more and more like a pressure cooker, with every breath you took becoming increasingly difficult. The conspirators believed they had everything calculated perfectly. It wasn't just about causing harm, it was about creating an environment that would slowly wear you down, weaken you, and ultimately eliminate you without anyone ever noticing their hand in the process. Each carefully crafted incident, each hidden danger was meant to bring you closer to the inevitable conclusion the day they believed you would fall. Every time you took a step forward, they took 2 steps closer to their end goal. They manipulated your health, your surroundings, and even your own body. They thought it would work. They thought that by the time the court date arrived, you would be a mere shadow of the person you used to be, a ghost of what could have been. But what they failed to take into account was the strength inside you. They believed that their manipulations were foolproof, that the systems they had set in place would work. But they underestimated the force that was behind you. They failed to realize that no matter how many plans they put in motion, no matter how much they tried to wear you down, there was something they couldn't calculate: your resilience. As the days went by, the subtle attacks continued, and you could feel the weight of it all pressing down on you. But you didn't break. You fought back, not just physically, but spiritually. Every small setback became a moment of defiance, and with each breath you took their plot grew more fragile. It became clear that they had overlooked something far greater than their calculated effort, your spiritual fortitude. What they didn't realize, what they couldn't possibly account for, was the divine protection that surrounded you. Their attempts to harm you were just that, attempts. In their minds, everything was set to unfold as planned, but the very essence of their manipulation failed to understand that your purpose was not so easily extinguished. Every challenge they threw at you only served to strengthen your resolve. Their manipulation was designed to crush you, but it only served to push you further into your power. And then when the day came, when the court date that they had circled in red on their calendars finally arrived, you were still here, standing, breathing, living proof of their failure. The date that they thought would mark your death instead marked your triumph. Their confidence in their ability to control the situation vanished as quickly as their plan unraveled. Each calculated move they made became a misstep in the face of your survival. Every ounce of effort they expended trying to snuff out your light only made your flame burn brighter. It wasn't just your survival that shocked them, it was the knowledge that you were stronger than they ever could have imagined. What they didn't calculate was your ability to outlast them, to withstand everything they threw at you. They had expected to break you before the court date, but instead, they had created the perfect conditions for you to rise stronger than before. Your survival wasn't a fluke. It wasn't just luck. It was divine timing. The forces behind you, those cosmic hands that moved behind the scenes, were always present, working tirelessly to ensure that you would rise above their carefully crafted web of lies and destruction. Your existence was a testament to the failure of their plan. Every breath you took was another blow to their carefully laid out scheme. They had calculated everything, but they forgot one key factor: they didn't know who you were. Now, as the court date approaches and their panic grows, they realize their mistake. They thought they had orchestrated your disappearance with such precision, but the very thing they underestimated, the very thing that terrified them the most, was your strength to endure. The game has changed and they no longer have control. The tables have turned, and the chosen one stands not as a victim, but as a witness to their unraveling. Every attempt they made to silence you only fueled your journey toward justice. And now their time is up. The betrayal that cuts deepest is not the betrayal of strangers, it is the betrayal of those you trust the most. The very people who should have been your greatest allies, the ones whose love should have been unwavering, turned out to be the architects of your downfall. These were the people who held the deepest access to your heart, the ones who knew your vulnerabilities better than anyone. They weren't strangers plotting from afar. No, they were family. The ones you grew up with, the ones who shared your last name, who shared your blood. Your own family was among the first to turn their backs on you. They didn't just stand idly by, they actively worked against you, manipulated situations, and helped orchestrate the web that entangled you. When the time came for their loyalty to be tested, they chose self-preservation over family ties. They chose greed over love. They chose to destroy you to protect their own interests. The realization that your own flesh and blood would betray you is one of the most painful revelations a person can experience. They knew you better than anyone. They knew your strengths, your weaknesses, your fears and your hopes. They knew what would hurt you most and they used it. They betrayed you in the most intimate ways possible. Family members whose loyalty should have been unquestionable became the most dangerous elements in the conspiracy against you. It wasn't just about physical harm or financial gain for them. No, this was about control. They sought to control your fate, to manipulate your path in order to benefit themselves, regardless of the cost to you. They crossed lines that should never have been crossed, and in doing so they made their treachery more sinister, more calculated. The betrayal began subtly like a whisper in the dark. It wasn't immediate, but it grew slowly like a storm gathering strength on the horizon. At first it was small, almost imperceptible actions. Slight miscommunications, missed meetings, and the feeling that something wasn't quite right. But as the plot thickened, it became clear your family wasn't just uninvolved. They were active participants in the conspiracy to destroy you. They didn't just abandon you in your time of need, they plotted against you. The house that should have been your refuge from the world, your sanctuary, became the setting for their schemes. It wasn't just about the personal betrayals either. It was about how they manipulated systems that should have protected you. They used their positions, their connections, and their knowledge of your personal life to twist the legal proceedings. They submitted false statements, fabricated evidence, and manipulated witnesses to delay the justice that was due to you. They thought they could delay the inevitable, thinking that the longer they stalled, the less likely you were to make it to the courtroom alive. They played with time, playing with your life as if it were a game. Their loyalty to you had been nothing more than a mask, a facade designed to keep you close while they worked their dark magic behind the scenes. They used the legal system, once a tool for justice, as a weapon against you. What should have been a safeguard for your rights was bent to serve their interests. Court dates were postponed, hearings delayed, and crucial documents lost at the most inconvenient times. They manipulated every part of the process, hoping that the system would fail to deliver justice in time. They thought they had outsmarted everyone, including you, but they didn't realize one thing: the truth has a way of making itself known even when they try to bury it. And so the home that was supposed to be your sanctuary turned into a cage. The walls that once held warmth and love now held secrets, lies, and betrayal. Every corner of your house, every room that once held laughter, now felt like a trap. The very people who should have protected you, your family, became the ones who led you down a dark and dangerous path. They twisted the very place where you should have been safe, making it a constant reminder that those closest to you could be the most dangerous. Your home became a battleground, a place where trust was shattered and every word spoken had to be measured carefully, because you never knew who was listening or who was secretly working against you. But even in the face of this betrayal, you remained. You endured, and the very fact that you survived their betrayals became the turning point. The more they tried to bring you down, the more you proved them wrong. They underestimated your strength. They underestimated your ability to endure even the deepest cuts. But the betrayal, while painful, did not destroy you. It shaped you, strengthened you, and prepared you for what was to come. In the midst of the darkest moments, when betrayal and manipulation seemed like the only forces at play, there was another power working behind the scenes, something that could not be measured, calculated, or controlled by the conspirators. This was not something they could see or understand, but it was there at work in ways they could never predict. The forces beyond human comprehension, those spiritual forces that defy explanation, were the very things that kept you alive when everything seemed to be working against you. Every day you remained unbroken, standing firm despite their best efforts to destroy you became a victory. It wasn't just survival, it was the manifestation of something far greater than yourself. It was divine intervention. While the conspirators focused on their legal and physical maneuvers, they failed to account for the unseen hands that were guiding you through the storm. They underestimated the power that was protecting you. They thought they could manipulate everything, your environment, your health, your future, but they didn't understand the forces moving on your behalf. Forces that operate beyond the material world. What they failed to realize was that your survival wasn't just about your physical resilience. It was about something more profound. There were cosmic forces at play, forces that had already set their course long before the conspirators even hatched their plans. These forces weren't just watching over you. They were actively working to ensure your survival even in the most impossible of circumstances. While the conspirators tried to plan for every possibility, they missed the most important factor: you were being guided by something far more powerful than they could comprehend. Every time they thought they had you cornered, every time they thought they had set the perfect trap, something shifted. You found the strength to push through, to rise again, to move forward when they thought you were finished. They couldn't see it, but you were being carried by something greater, and with every step you took, every breath you drew, their plan unraveled just a little more. The more they tried to destroy you, the more they exposed themselves. The truth buried beneath layers of lies and manipulation began to rise to the surface. They could manipulate the system, delay the proceedings, and even destroy the evidence they thought would lead to their downfall. But there was one thing they couldn't touch: the digital evidence they believed was lost, the text messages they thought had been deleted, the witnesses they thought had disappeared. The truth was being preserved in ways they couldn't anticipate. While they focused on erasing the paper trail, they forgot about the digital footprint they'd left behind. Every conversation, every message, every piece of evidence that they thought was buried was still there, waiting to be uncovered. The digital world where they thought they could erase their sins was now the place where their darkest secrets would be revealed. The witnesses who had seen them meeting in parking lots and restaurant corners, the ones they thought had been intimidated into silence, were now the very ones who would speak the truth. They couldn't delete the evidence. They couldn't erase the digital trail of their manipulation. And no matter how much they tried to suppress the truth, it was coming for them. The more they tried to manipulate the system, the more the system pushed back. The more they tried to bury the truth, the more it rose to the surface. Their plan had failed from the moment they underestimated the resilience of your spirit and the power that was working behind the scenes to make sure they couldn't succeed. The more time passed, the more their desperation grew. They watched as their plan fell apart piece by piece. Each moment you remained alive and unbroken was another victory, another step closer to their exposure. Every breath you took became another crack in their carefully constructed facade. And with each passing day, the walls they built to protect themselves from the consequences of their actions began to crumble. What they failed to destroy in the physical world, they could not escape in the digital one. And as the court date loomed ever closer, they began to realize that their timeline had collapsed. Their plan had failed not because of their miscalculations, but because they had never accounted for the spiritual forces at play, the forces that had been working on your behalf all along. As the court date draws nearer, the air grows thicker with tension. What once seemed like a distant deadline for your enemies is now looming like a storm on the horizon, ready to unleash its fury. The conspirators who once moved in the shadows with every calculated step to keep you quiet and disappear from the narrative are now feeling the weight of their actions. Their calm confidence, which once emanated from their belief in control, has turned into frantic panic. They can no longer hide behind their schemes. Every passing moment, every hour that draws them closer to that day is a reminder of their failure to predict what you would do next. They thought you would never make it this far. They believed that time would run out, that you would fade away just as they had planned. But instead, they are the ones running out of time. The rising panic is evident in their every move. The whispers that once filled dark rooms now transform into loud, hurried conversations. Their attempts to manipulate and delay justice seem increasingly futile as their grip on the situation loosens. They know they cannot stall it any longer. They cannot hide behind their lies. The truth is approaching unstoppable in its inevitability, and the court date that they once thought would be your end is now a marker for their unraveling. Every day that passes brings you closer to the courtroom where you will finally have your voice heard, where the lies they wove to entrap you will be exposed for the world to see. They can feel it, the walls are closing in, and no matter how much they scramble to cover their tracks, it is already too late. And here you are, standing at the edge of the storm. Your survival has defied their expectations, and now as the court date nears, you stand as the living proof of everything they attempted to bury. This is not just a moment of personal victory, this is a moment of truth. You have prepared for this day not just physically, but mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. Every challenge, every setback, every moment when they tried to break you has led you to this moment of reckoning. You know that your presence in that courtroom will be their ultimate downfall, the very thing they feared most. This moment has been coming for a long time, and while they may have thought they controlled the outcome, they failed to see what was really at play. You were never alone in this. The spiritual forces that have been protecting you, forces beyond their comprehension, have worked tirelessly to ensure you would survive to bear witness. These forces, unseen by the naked eye but deeply felt in your soul, have guided you through every danger, every attempt to harm you, and every obstacle they placed in your way. You are not just standing here because of your own strength, you're standing here because something far greater than their manipulation has been at work. Every step you took toward this day was not just a step you made by yourself. It was a step made with divine support, with protection that they could never have foreseen. They thought they could break you, but they underestimated the power that was keeping you alive. They underestimated your strength, but they also underestimated the forces that have been working on your behalf, forces that moved in ways they couldn't see and couldn't stop. Now, as you prepare to enter the courtroom, you do so with the knowledge that your very presence is a testament to something beyond their reach. You are standing as proof that no matter how carefully they planned, no matter how many times they tried to set you back, you were always destined to stand tall. And as the clock ticks down, the energy in the air shifts. There's a sense of inevitability now. Your enemies feel it too, the pressure, the weight of their impending exposure. Their world is crumbling as the truth makes its way to the surface, and no amount of manipulation or delay can stop it. You know what's coming and you're ready to face it head on. You have the power, the truth, and the divine protection that will see you through. You're not walking into that courtroom alone. You're walking in with the truth, and the truth has always been your greatest weapon. As the final pieces of their plan begin to disintegrate, the conspirators are faced with the unraveling of everything they worked so hard to build. It's almost poetic in a way. The very plan they thought was foolproof is now a house of cards, and with each passing day it's becoming clearer that their time is running out. Their confidence is slipping away, replaced by reckless actions and desperation. The calculated moves that once defined their strategy are now giving way to mistakes, critical errors that expose their true intentions and reveal the extent of their treachery. Every slip-up, every misstep only makes it more apparent that they're losing control, and the more they scramble to cover their tracks, the more they expose themselves. The conspirators had always believed they could manipulate the situation, create a web of lies and deceit that would protect them from the consequences of their actions. But now they are running out of time, and their desperation is beginning to show. They are making mistakes, errors that would have been unthinkable when they thought they had the upper hand. They thought they could keep the truth hidden forever, but they were wrong. Now they're scrambling to cover up their tracks, but their efforts are futile. Each attempt to erase evidence only adds to the pile of proof against them. The network they carefully built with so much time and effort is now falling apart. Once they had been a unified force working together in silence to orchestrate your downfall. Now cracks are forming in their alliance, and the once solid conspiracy is crumbling under the weight of their own mistakes. As their fear grows, they begin to turn on each other. The loyalty they once had to their shared cause fades, and self-preservation becomes their primary concern. The unity they thought they had is dissolving, and with it the last vestiges of their power. They thought they could control everything, but now they're realizing they were never in control to begin with. The more they try to cover their tracks, the more the truth emerges. It's almost as if the evidence has a life of its own, refusing to be buried. Documents they thought were destroyed resurface. Financial transactions that once seemed harmless are now exposed for what they truly are proof of their malice and manipulation. Text messages they thought had been deleted are found sitting in archives ready to be used against them. Witnesses they thought they could intimidate into silence are now stepping forward, offering testimony that links them directly to the conspiracy. Everything they tried to hide is coming to light piece by piece, and there is no way for them to stop it. The walls they built around themselves are crumbling, and with each piece of evidence that surfaces, their world unravels just a little more. They tried to bury the truth, but the truth is persistent. It will not be silenced. The more they attempted to cover their tracks, the more their actions were laid bare for the world to see. And now, as the evidence mounts, their once impenetrable conspiracy is exposed for what it truly is, a house of lies built on manipulation and deceit. They never expected this. They never anticipated that their web of lies would collapse so quickly. They thought they had planned for every possibility, every outcome, but they never accounted for one thing: the truth. The truth was always there, quietly waiting for the moment when it would rise to the surface. And now that moment is here. As the conspirators scramble to hide the evidence and cover their mistakes, the truth is being laid out before them in stark detail. Each piece of evidence that surfaces brings them closer to their inevitable exposure. And no matter how hard they try to deny it, they can't escape the consequences of their actions. Now, with the evidence mounting against them, they have nowhere to turn. The conspiracy they built is crumbling, and their carefully constructed reputations are falling apart. They can no longer pretend to be innocent. They can no longer hide behind their lies. The truth is out, and there is no escaping it. The court date that they thought would be the end of you is now the moment of their undoing. The truth will be spoken, and nothing they do can stop it. What they failed to realize was that their manipulation was never the final word. Their schemes, their lies, their attempts to silence you were never going to succeed in the end. The truth, like a force of nature, has made its way to the surface, and now it is unstoppable. It is not just your survival that they cannot comprehend, it is the unstoppable power of truth and justice that will bring them to account. The conspiracy that once seemed so solid, so foolproof, is now unraveling before their very eyes, and there is nothing they can do to stop it. The day has come. The day that they once believed would be the final nail in your coffin. The day they thought would silence your truth, erase your existence, and mark the end of your story. But what they failed to understand, what they underestimated, was the power of your resilience and the forces that have been protecting you all along. This court date, once a symbol of your demise, has now become the beginning of their exposure. As you stand at the threshold of justice, you realize that this is not just about you anymore. Your survival was never just about defying their manipulation. It was about something greater. Your continued presence, your refusal to be silenced, is now the catalyst for their undoing. They thought they could bury the truth, but the truth is unstoppable. It doesn't matter how many layers of deceit they built, how many lies they told, or how many times they manipulated the system. The truth always finds a way to emerge, and now it is shining brighter than ever. This is not just your victory, it is a victory for cosmic justice. The very forces that have been working behind the scenes, protecting you, guiding you, and ensuring that you would rise above their treachery, have never been more evident than they are now. The conspirators may have thought they controlled everything, but they failed to account for the divine timing that was always at play. They thought they could erase you, but they never counted on the power of spiritual justice, the force that ensures that those who operate in darkness will always be brought into the light. Your story is now a beacon for others who may find themselves facing similar trials. You are living proof that even in the face of the most insidious conspiracies, even when everything seems stacked against you, there is always a greater force at work. You didn't just survive, you thrived, and your resilience now serves as a reminder to anyone caught in the web of manipulation and deceit that they too can rise. Your courage, your strength, and your unwavering belief in the truth are now a source of inspiration, a light for those who feel lost in the shadows of their own struggles. What they thought would be the end of you is now the beginning of their reckoning. As the court date unfolds, you will step into the light and their carefully constructed walls of lies will crumble. The truth that they worked so hard to bury will be unveiled for the world to see. Their manipulations, their betrayals, their schemes will no longer remain hidden. And in this moment you will stand not only as a survivor, but as the agent of justice, the one who brought their darkness into the light. The victory is yours, but it is not just your own. It belongs to divine justice, to the unseen forces that have guided you, and to everyone who has been silenced by those who believe they can manipulate the truth. Your survival is not an isolated victory. It is a testament to the power of truth, divine timing, and the unyielding strength of those who refuse to be broken. Your story will resonate far beyond this court date. It will continue to inspire, to empower, and to serve as a reminder that no matter how dark the world may seem, the light will always find a way to break through. And with that light, justice will always prevail.